Hello everyone, and welcome to my EastEnders Soap Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to next week's spoilers, there will be startling scenes when Linda Carter is blackmailed. Reiss, meanwhile, is going to have a difficult time next week when he starts to dislike Phil Mitchell. In another scene from the BBC One soap opera, Eve Onwin pops the question to Suki Panesar after feeling intimidated by a newcomer. The main plotlines for EastEnders the next week are listed below. Next week on EastEnders, there will be disturbing scenes as Linda Carter is blackmailed. As viewers of soap operas will remember, Dean Wicks is incarcerated pending trial after being set up by the Six for Keanu Taylor's murder. Though the Six, Denise Fox, Kathy Beale, Sharon Watts, Stacey Slater, and Suki Panesar, have united to defend Linda and falsely accuse terrible rapist Dean of killing Keanu. The character is actually the one who killed him. In later scenes, Linda is shocked when one of Dean's contacts, Fraser, approaches her in the Vic and makes a deal offer. However, Elaine, Linda's protective mother, steps in and tells him to go. Later, when she is by herself with her son Johnny, it is evident that she is tempted to accept the offer, but he makes a valiant effort to dissuade her before she picks up the bottle once more. The following morning, Linda wakes up at the Vic feeling hungover and worries to Elaine that Annie forgot her dentist appointment. Things worsen the following day when Linda receives a blackmail letter while trying to figure out who might have sent it. Later in the week, Linda discovers a startling find while bottling up at the Vic. Subsequently, Linda gets a second letter and goes crazy, accusing people in the Vic and making a disturbance. While Johnny comforts her upstairs, they are unaware that the person who is sending the letters is visiting Dean. What is his scheme? Next week on EastEnders, Reiss is going to get into trouble because he betrays Phil Mitchell. Last week, the initially gullible resident murdered his wife Debbie in graphic circumstances, and the police were called in to help with her funeral. Reiss is still worried about the post-mortem results and whether they would show that she was suffocated to death the following week. He becomes anxious as Sonia tries to tell him that the post-mortem is normal. Eve notices Reiss wearing Debbie's wedding band in another scene in the cafe, and when Phil asks for a payout on his fictitious investment, the temptation to obtain money only increases. Reiss has 24 hours to get the money, but how can he raise so much money so quickly? He deceives Sonia, but what will he do next? According to next week's spoilers, Suki Panesar's ex-husband Nish Panesar interferes in their relationship, leading Eve Onwin to propose to her. In later scenes, Nish shows up unexpectedly with Suki and an old friend, Aisha, who happens to be Hardeep's widow after Nish killed him 20 years prior. After all this time, Suki is shocked to see Aisha, and before long, the visitor lashes out at Nish for his transgression before escaping. Next week's episodes of Walford will introduce new characters that will completely upend Linda and Suki. However, there's a risk that the pair will be discovered having an affair. Next week's episodes of EastEnders will include a number of fresh problems as two new individuals move into Albert Square. When Matt D'Angelo's character Linda Carter, played by Kelly Bright, unexpectedly shows up at the Queen Vic with an offer to make a deal, she is shocked. As viewers of the BBC One soap opera are aware, Dean is incarcerated and awaiting trial for the murder of Danny Walter's character, Keanu Taylor. After Keanu's real killer Linda described to the police how she spotted Dean at the crime site on Christmas Day 2023, he was unexpectedly arrested. Elaine Peacock, Harriet Thorpe, stepping in to stop Fraser, Greg Esplin, from harassing Linda, tells him to leave the bar. That being said, it becomes evident that Linda is tempted to accept Dean's offer once she is by herself with her son Johnny, Charlie Suff. Attorney Johnny makes a valiant effort to persuade his mother to reconsider, but she always reaches for the booze. Elaine is worried when Linda realizes she forgot Annie's dentist appointment when she wakes up the next day at the Vic with a hangover. Suffering Linda gets combative when Elaine offers to take Annie, but she's subsequently shocked to see that Annie's dental care has deteriorated. Linda then asks Scott Massillon's character Jack Branning for guidance. However, while bottling up later in the week, Linda discovers something shocking. After receiving a letter threatening blackmail, the landlady is left worried as she and Johnny investigate possible senders. When Linda gets home, she finds a second letter, but Johnny has called Denise Fox, Diane Parrish, and Sharon Watts, Letitia Dean, to divulge everything. When she begins accusing people in the Vic, she loses control and creates a scene. While Johnny comforts her upstairs, they are unaware that the person who is sending the letters is paying a visit to Dean. In the Vic, Michelle Collins' character Cindy Beale is displeased that her romantic partner Junior Knight, Micah Balfour, is preoccupied with work. To incite jealousy in him, she agrees to have a casual drink with Mitchell, played by Elijah Holloway. Subsequently, Junior visits number 45, where they share a bed behind Ian Beale's, Adam Woodyard, back. Another delightful afternoon is planned by Cindy and Junior at number 45, but their preparations are derailed when Peter Beale, Thomas Law, needs to miss a meeting and is unable to control Beale's eels. Bobby, Clay Milner Russell, is quickly given the position of manager by her, but it quickly becomes apparent that Bobby is unfit for the position. Cindy and Junior rip each other's clothes off back at number 45. Bobby keeps trying to show off his managerial prowess at Beale's Eels later in the week, but he starts to get suspicious when Cindy leaves work early due to a migraine. Bobby arrives at number 45, and Cindy meets Junior as they proceed upstairs. Will he manage to catch Junior and Cindy in the act? In another scene, Suki, Balvinder Sopal, and Vinny Panesar, Shiv Jalota, talk about their plans to kill Nish, Navin Chowdhury, over lunch at Walford East. However, Nish interrupts the mother-son pair when she arrives with Aisha, the widow of Hardeep, whom Nish killed 20 years prior. After all this time, Suki is shocked to see Aisha, Layla Ruas, but it's not a cheerful reunion as Aisha lashes out at Nish for his transgression before escaping. Suki goes back to number 41 after Aisha does. Later, when the two go out for drinks with Eve Onwin, Heather Peace, at the Vic, Nish spots a chance to get involved by sowing the doubt about their strong relationship in Eve's mind. Eve decides to ask Suki to marry him in front of Aisha, Stacy, and the Panesars at the Vic after running into Nish in the cafe. However, terminally ill Nish confesses to Nugget, Juhaim Rasool Chowdhury, during a heart-to-heart that his one and only wish is to die with Suki by his side. The following contains spoilers for Monday's, July 29th, episode of EastEnders, which is currently streaming on BBC iPlayer and hasn't yet broadcast on television. In the most recent episode of EastEnders, Reiss Caldwell will likely be asked additional questions regarding Debbie's passing. Reiss was under pressure to reimburse Phil and Sharon for a fictitious investment scheme last week, feeling as though he had exhausted all other possibilities for resolving his financial difficulties. Unaware that Sonia intended to sell their home as a means of resolving their issues, Reiss unexpectedly killed his unconscious wife, Debbie. Tonight's BBC Two broadcast of the most recent episode features Sonia telling Reiss that she had pulled the property off the market, allowing them to stay there. Reiss became enraged and lost his temper when Sonia mentioned how loyal he was to his wife, even though the police had called to inform them that Debbie's post-mortem had been completed and they could visit her in the mortuary. Reiss expressed his disappointment to Sonia that he wasn't present at the very end, and she urged him to begin reflecting on himself straight away. Even after learning of Debbie's passing, Phil located Reiss in the square and insisted on receiving frequent information on the repayment and a return on his investment. Reiss entered the Vic and ordered a whiskey, but Zach urged him not to drink and talked about how comforting it was for him and Whitney to say goodbye to baby Peach. Reiss apologized to Sonia and said he would visit Debbie, but she noticed their prior altercation and asked him what Phil wanted. Reiss was forced to acknowledge that he had stolen from him, and she became enraged that Phil was discussing money with him just a short time after Debbie passed away. Sonia was taken aback by this revelation, but Reiss managed to charm his way out of trouble once more. She recommended that they visit Debbie before addressing the remaining issues. Reiss took Debbie's wedding ring from her hand and sobbed in the mortuary, telling himself that he had done her a favor because she had no quality of life left. Reiss was taken aback when Debbie's parents, Brenda and Hugh, showed up at the mortuary while he and Sonia contemplated the future. Brenda expressed suspicions about Debbie's abrupt passing and declared, "I'm going to find out what happened to our little girl." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.